Put it this way, if Joe Shane was able to pull this trade off, he could run for mayor and win in New York City.
Yeah, they want the Hard Knocks cameras back there at that point.
He would absolutely be heralded as a genius and a hero.
Yeah, it would get annoying.
I'm still not confident that Dart and Scadaboo are actually good. I just have fun watching.
They are. Yeah, Giants fans
have
already ticketed them to be giving each other's induction speeches in Ken. Heyo, welcome to Heed the Call, an NFL podcast. I am Dan Hanzus, joined by the great Marc Sessler. Justin Graver on the ones and twos. A little jaunty, a little extra bounce in the step of the gravy. In his Texas Rangers hoodie.
He loves to dance. He just loves to dance.
He loves the hump day. He's a hump day guy.
Yeah, I'm also excited because NFL season is over. I don't have to watch my crappy Titans anymore. I'm excited for the start of the NBA, which kicked off last night, and the Mavs kick off tonight, and I'm going to the game, which is sick. I'm super pumped.
Good for you.
For today.
Oh, you get to see the Phenom, number one pick. Good for you. Yeah. That's good. It's good to have something. Yeah, I'm a Knicks fan, and they're starting their season against the Cavs, and especially in a year like this, kind of going back to our Mariners-Seahawks conversation on Monday night, like having other teams to fall back on. Like it was pretty grim for Tugboat a couple of weeks ago when the Yankees were getting bounced out of the playoffs, and then you're like, all right, well, then there's the Jets. And it's like, usually I'm not a big like NBA guy in October. I'm definitely more in the category of fans like I'll plug in starting around Christmas time, around New Year's to the NBA. But this season, I feel like I need what might be a very good Knicks team to really lift me up. So not putting all your eggs in one sports basket is helpful. Now, Ceci, you're a good example of someone that doesn't do that. Like you are a Cleveland Browns fan. Sometimes you pretend you're not. At times you say they're my childhood team, but you love your Browns. Come on. But you don't have another team that you really stand by. And I would maybe say, jump on a couple bandwagons. Find joy wherever you can.
I've tried it. I do the annual, I'm going to follow baseball this year. And about 8 days later, that's not the case. But you're right. I put all my eggs in one basket, and then the basket had a nuclear bomb drop on it. So it's like, you're right. You've got to have other things that bring pleasure. But maybe I'll try it with an NBA team this year. I was a Knicks fan back in the day. Then they made life very tough for about 2+ decades.
They did. All right. And thank you for Jalen Brunson, Justin.
Yeah.
And by the way, the NBA returned to NBC. We wish we could play it, but we'll get flagged for it, so we can't. But like the package that they rolled out for that stellar double OT opener between the Thunder and Rockets. It was like pulling a warm hoodie over your head. I guess you have to be of a certain age. And they even did a really nice job of that, where they opened it with a bunch of stars of the league currently that weren't born when NBA on NBC was a thing, and the Michael Jordan, era, obviously, which was a fun way to acknowledge this isn't really for everyone. But it was like the same thing like when I was at the Oasis Live 25 reunion. We knew when we were in that crowd, as we were, all these like middle-aged men were tearing up, singing Slide Away, that this isn't for everyone, but man, this is for us. And what a nice little moment that was, hearing the round ball rock by, of all people, John Tesh.
He plays it in concert all the time. I'm quite a piano man. Like I that's the era of when I would watch basketball every day and all weekend long. And that NBC tie, why I like NBC back in the day, but it was such a special time. And I think the NBA was in a really wonderful place back then. And to give us anything that reminds us of those feelings from way back when, sports-wise, I'll take it.
I guess what would be the NFL equivalent of round ball rock and that type of those good like warm hoodie vibes?
From a music angle?
Probably maybe, I think Monday Night Football, that theme would be it. And I think that ESPN has done a nice job of really, well, they have that goofy song, or it's like a country rap song, which I get it. They're trying to hit as many demographics as possible. But once you get past that silly thing, you get the original theme from the old Cosell days, obviously, and it goes right up to the ball being kicked off, which I think is a really nice production touch. That would be, I guess, the equivalent. But for those, Gen Xers and the elder millennials like myself, yeah, the Round Ball Rock by John Tesh. It's hard to top it.
Go listen to it.
All right, let's change gears here. Let's welcome our Wednesday guest every week on the End Around, and one of our favorites. You know who it is. Mr. Wide Left himself, Mr. Host of the Norse Code, Mr. Hottest Minnesota guy since Prince, Arif Hasan.
That's a heavy burden to carry.
Like, who are the
you do it
hottest
so well.
guys ever out of Minnesota? Let's say, okay, Prince, Joe Mauer was kind of like,
Joe
shucks,
Mauer
hot.
super
Yeah.
had it. That's also a tough one to. Adam Thielen, right? I'm not going to say
Right.
Adam Thielen's, but like he's pretty attractive.
Let's go like athlete category more than diminutive.
Larry
office
Fitzgerald.
yeah.
Handsome.
Yeah.
Handsome.
Terrell Suggs. I guess most people wouldn't consider Terrell Suggs in the category of maybe most conventionally attractive. Maybe that's unfair.
I would say Terrell Suggs, based on both his physical looks and some of the off the field stuff, might be the ugliest person. That's,
right. Yeah. So,
the total
We're
package.
going to
is not-
eliminate Suggsy from that combo, but
right.
sound off in the comments
Right.
on hottest guys from Minnesota and where Arif stacks up. All right.
I'm
Welcome back,
really happy
buddy.
that I have to compete with like Chet. Right. Like that's.
I'm actively looking up hottest men from Minnesota right now. The search
good to have in
is
your
just
history.
the early search. Yeah, that's a good thing to have in my cache.
Don't act like it was already on the browser. Like you start typing it in and it like takes you back to the website you were on late last night.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Arif, great to have you back. This is what we're going to do. We're going to cycle through some fun news items, and then we're going to get to our version of the trade deadline primer. I feel like we're just ahead of the news cycle on this. All your content's going to be flooded with this shit in like 72 hours. But I feel like if we come in earlier than we should, we just beat it, even though technically it's too early to do this. But I don't think so. I don't know. I'm just talking out loud now. I probably should stop talking, Arif, and just
I think we're
move forward.
dancing through the raindrops, but it's good. I think we're trendsetters, Arif. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. Yeah. I think we're the heroes here for sure.
Well, we certainly are. That has been established for many years. All right. So, but before we get to that, we're going to do some realistic trade possibilities. Well, hopefully realistic. I put a lot of thought into mine. I don't know about you guys.
Yes.
I want it to happen.
Not a single thought.
Well, okay, but that's fine too. We'll judge that. But things that we think will make the league more fun, that will help the teams involved, and are plausible. That's what we're going for. But first, let's go through the news. I want to start with one of my favorite tropes. Always one of my favorite tropes out there is
Trope alert.
This
Trope
one's even
alert.
better than
Trope alert.
Player X removes
Trope alert.
team logo from various social medias as my favorite go-to trope of the season. The one that you could bank on is struggling team takes away the fun stuff from the locker room.
Right.
Especially the ping pong table. It's always a ping pong table.
It's always the poor ping pong table. And what did ping pong do, honestly, in modern society to be pointed at and be like, that we need to single this out as a thing to be removed? After their loss to the Kansas City Chiefs, the Baltimore Ravens coaching staff removed several distractions from the locker room. Distractions in quotes, including the ping pong table, cornhole boards. They had cornhole in the locker room?
That
Does seem a little extra.
It's next level.
A basketball hoop.
No,
What is
you got to have the hoop. That's fine.
How big is this locker room, by the way?
Is it
this
locker room
regulation?
adjacent or in the locker room itself?
I would assume in the locker room.
Yeah.
And video game consoles. This is
Okay,
per
that
the-
one does seem like a little much. I got to be honest.
here's
I
the
was
thing.
here for the hoop. I don't know about the consoles.
First of all, I need to see the square footage of the Ravens locker room. It sounds like it's definitely bigger than my house. Two, these things standalone aren't that big a deal, but when you add them all up, I guess, yeah, it gets a little dicey. I'll also say, Arif, and you've been in locker rooms, like, these things are there for a reason. It's a hard job. They went 14-3 or whatever last year. I'm sure all this shit was in there last year too. It does seem like an easy excuse to point to when you're trying to fix things, but I don't like scapegoating fun stuff. I'm
there with you, especially because fun stuff is sometimes put in there also to fix locker rooms, right? Like if your team is losing and they don't have any fun stuff, then they put a ping pong table in there, so it's like players, are always competing. It was like one thing that I've been told about like why you'd put a ping pong table in there, to make sure you kind of revive or keep alive the spirit of competition. And it's like, okay, I feel like this doesn't matter one way or the other. Then if we can use it to fix losing teams, to just bring it, it's like turning a computer on and off again, right? It's like, what are we really doing here that's meaningfully changed? Probably nothing. But like, I guess when you're struggling and you've tried everything else, tried, fixing the schemes, tried watching all the film, tried, changing the nutrition or what, you've tried everything else. You're just like, it's the ping pong table, I guess. You're just at wit's end at that point.
Yeah.
And it's typically the thing that like a new coaching staff comes in and does whatever the last coaching staff wasn't doing. So we're the fun coaching staff, or we're going to take away all that nonsense because it's time to get serious. I was reading a little bit about it, and it's legit that these guys play a ton of Madden like before games and stuff too, to kind of get their head into it. Not every player, but it's very popular. Dan, to your point, I remember at the NFL when we had these really nice water coolers. And one day you go into the break room and they just replace them with these archaic, nonsensical, but perhaps not even ethically healthy. And it's like, you're just knocking the morale down. Suddenly you can't take a +1 to the holiday party. It's like these little things don't inspire me to rise my performance. They agitate.
Yeah, working at NFL media during the Empire's decline, ending with the sale to ESPN, it happened in little drips and drabs. The things that were taken off the table. Like when we moved into the new offices at Hollywood Park, Arif, we're talking the golden age, buddy. This was the commissary. Everything was free, buddy. Everything was on the arm. Go get your lunch. Go get your snacks. Go get your drink. It's all on the arm, baby. Trips all across the country, luxury hotels, London, Germany. The owners' meetings. We're in the suite next to Woody Johnson, hearing thumping against the wall. These were the golden era. This is the golden era, baby. And then all of a sudden, it was like, okay, that went away. They're charging at the commissary. Dan doesn't have a job anymore. Like it just happened in drips and drabs.
Right. Every
one more critical than the other.
Flag. But yeah.
All right. And by the way, this is Justin. Can you get on this for the rest of the program? Can you look up every team that's ever taken a ping pong table out of their locker room and then see what their record was after that? Thank you. If you can get
Super
that to
Bowl
us
era,
within 15 to 20 minutes.
Okay.
Thank you.
You got it.
All right. In other news, Russell Wilson, man. Tough times for Russ. We played it on the Sunday flagship show. They had that, and good job by our boy Jimmy Palmer, had the video in the locker room of Brian Burns, screaming about the defensive strategy to drop 8 on the game-winning field goal drive by the Broncos and that horrendous Giants collapse / incredible Broncos comeback, however you want to look at it. But you saw Brian Burns yelling, and then you saw just kind of Russell Wilson next to him. It was like, oh yeah, Russell Wilson's there. Russell Wilson, when this season began, was the starting quarterback of the Giants. He did the media tour. Connor had a catch with him in a local park in New York City. It was a really nice time, but he quickly lost the job. And Sean Payton, he's a guy who can't resist taking little jabs. Payton's short-term marriage to Russell Wilson in Denver was the stuff of disaster films, and he found a way to get a little dig in a media gathering post-game on Sunday.
They found a little spark with that quarterback. I was talking to John Mayer not too long ago, and I said we were hoping that change would have happened long after our game.
Yeah, and obviously the connection point there is that, if you would have left Russell Wilson in the starting lineup, it would have been better for the Broncos because Russell Wilson isn't as good. Not cool. Russell Wilson then jumps on Twitter. How about this one, Arif? He jumps on Twitter and he tweets this on Tuesday. I love it. I love the drama. Feed it to me. Classless. Classless, but not surprised. Well, let me try to say it like Russell Wilson. Classless, but not surprised. Didn't realize you're still bounty hunting 15 plus years later through the media. Emojis all around. Hashtag Let's Ride iconic. 36 million views, Arif. What would you 1 to 10? And let's keep in mind the source here. Russ this isn't his bailiwick. He's not good at burns or being cool or funny. What would you give him 1 out of 10 for this burn back on Sean Payton?
If he was like a continuous trash talker, I think that the bar would be higher in terms of like what sounds like a pretty good burn. But given that this just like never happens, I'm going to give him an 8. I think that
an 8 out of 10 on the burn scale.
I think that you got to grade every quarterback on a curve in terms of how petty they could be, and that one's pretty high. And also, I mean, soft spot for me. I've been following the Vikings for a long time. Bounty Gate is near and dear to my heart, so maybe he got a couple of bonus points here.
Yeah, that's true. How about you, Mark? On the Bunsen burner blowtorch scale, 1 to 10, Russ.
I'm going to go 7.9. I agree, though, that the unusual nature of getting Russell Wilson to comment in any nature that isn't completely vanilla or manufactured, I respect. And so he went there. And, if you're going against Sean Payton in a public forum, you're going against a veteran. Like it's like I kind of like anyone in media has had that moment with Sean Payton where it was like, whoa, we're good.
Yeah, no, Sean Payton's a dick. I think we all know that. Yep. And Russell Wilson probably has been harboring a lot of ill will towards him for some time now. And it came out in that tweet. So, yeah, you know what? I feel like it's been a humbling year for Wilson the last few weeks. And I totally feel, I side with him. Well, no, I mean, it's been up and down. I agree with you on that. But he kind of had his rise when he's like, oh, now I'm playing in the New York City market and I'm QB1 and this is my chance to. And for that to kind of go away, I can understand why you see that quote and you're like, dude, leave me alone, man. Like, obviously, my career is kind of on the downswing. I get it. Good for you, Russ. Way to fight back. And it felt human. And that's,
yes,
I give that to him. So I'm going to give it an 8.6 on the Bunsen burner blowtorch scale. All right. Speaking of Woody Johnson and dull thumping against the wall. That's a joke because the Jets are the type of team that would sue one of their biggest fans for making that, saying that. So, F off. But yeah, Woody Johnson has been in the darkness for most of 2025. This is by design. Last year, obviously, he looked very bad and caught a lot of negative media attention for his decision to fire Robert Saleh early in the season and in general meddle with the Jets. I remember there was a story at one point that his grandsons or something were running the team, and there was like Madden ratings were deciding. It was the type of toxic owner stuff that I was quietly like thrilled about because I felt like this might be the stuff of humiliation for a billionaire that might lead to him selling the team. No such luck, at least not yet. And he had been laying low. And I did think to myself after they fell to 0-7, the Jets, that Woody probably thinks in his twisted mind that the reason they are so bad this year is because he's not more involved, at least not on the surface. Anyway, they caught up to him at the fall owners meetings, probably an event, Mark, we would have been sent to and been staying in the penthouse in 2017.
Yes, no longer.
But Woody couldn't help but, well, when Woody opens his mouth, dumb shit falls out. Let's listen in.
What's your confidence level in Aaron to turn it around?
Well, it looks like he's turning around parts of it. You know, it's hard when you have a quarterback with, with a rating that we got. You know, he has the ability, but something just is not jiving. But if you look at any head coach with a quarterback like that, you're going to see similar results if you go across the league. You have to play consistently with, at that position, and that's what we're going to try to do for the remainder of the season.
So what gives you hope then? What's the hope?
I just think defense, special teams are doing better. The defense is pretty good, and if we can just complete a pass, it would look good. We got to complete some passes. You got to convince them that you can do something. Otherwise, it's hard to have have a game that you could win.
What a nincompoop. I usually don't use that word, but that's fitting. Do you think, Arif, they are aware, they being Woody Johnson and all of his lackeys, that shitting on Justin Fields specifically and pointing to him as a scapegoat for the Jets' struggles doesn't absolve Woody Johnson from being at the center of this mess, because he hired the people that went and got Justin Fields and gave him $30 million guaranteed. And it's that type of disconnect that really, I think intelligence is an issue that haunts the Jets in terms of ownership, because I really think this guy, he thinks he knows what he's talking about. And it's very clear to me that he does not know, and he doesn't have anyone to actually tell him what's actually happening in the real world or with the New York Jets. Very troubling.
Yeah, I mean, he's like kind of like of the class of really insulated billionaires. He's like in the inner bubble of like super insulated billionaires, right? He doesn't even like pretend to be like a man of the people, like a Richard Branson, right? He's completely isolated. And I think that, you know, this kind of like accountability flows down culture is like a big part of, you know, problems that these kinds of teams have. I just like, as someone who like has ever kind of led a team of any kind, it could even be backyard playground stuff. Like, you gotta know that just like throwing other people under the bus, it doesn't matter whether or not you're right. Throwing other people under the bus is just never going to endear other people to you. It's not going to let other people think like, hey, I want to play for that organization. The one where they just absolutely pilloried that quarterback who is trying to revive his career. That's just a nuts thing to do and say it in such harsh terms. And also, like, Woody Johnson, whenever he speaks, it's one of those things where it's like, technically he's not saying anything racist at all, but it feels like a little like I'm worried. Yeah, it just feels something's off, right? When he said jiving, I was like, I know how most people use the word jiving, right? And he's using it correctly here. It's not, but it just feels off. I feel like most people can say it, but you can't actually. I've decided just now.
I think also to your point of like there being a bar in these things, like we're used to and we accept and we almost relish the fact that like Jerry Jones is going to say 5 to 6 things during the course of a season and off season that become sound bites for shows like this. He's getting the name of his star player wrong before he trades him away. If you're Woody Johnson and you really have been in the shadows, and you come out of this, and you this unfurl this endless soundbite that looks worse, I think, in writing than it did listening to it or watching him. But you need the PR guy to step in and be like, "We got one more question." Like the minute he starts talking, get him out of there.
Yeah. It's bad. It's sad, and we'll talk about it. Yes, for the 7 million people that sent me the video of the sad Jets fan at the Meadowlands. I'll talk about that on the preview show tomorrow. But like, yeah, that kid, me, my dad, tens of thousands of other Jets fans want an owner to actually take some accountability and say, yeah, this does suck. We're going to get it fixed. And instead you get this weird, like, I don't know, like it's like one of the kids from the Logan Empire, like telling us it's going to, just parsing blame, and it's like, this is the guy that's at the top of the food chain. You are not serious people. That's what I think. And by the way, it's also wrong. Justin Fields, yes, the last 2 games were tremendously poor, and now he's going to get benched. And it might be Tyrod Taylor, but Tyrod Taylor now is hurt too. Just outrageous. Classic. But Fernando Mania around the New York Jets, tank baby. But like, he had also in 6 starts, 3 of those starts, he had a passer rating over 100. I mean, he had 2 dreadful games the last 2 weeks, but the Jets have had problems that go way beyond the quarterback. So singling him out and talking about how it's not jiving, yeah, it rings all sorts of things that just make you feel uncomfortable.
It's like, our owner also doesn't know football very well. A little cherry on top there. Great.
I'm also picturing...
But you are not serious people.
I'm picturing Woody Johnson paying to get into Studio 54 in 1978 and then trying to use slang terms of the era and people being like, what? What is it? Who is this guy? All right. Anyway, one more thing before we get to the trades that make sense. I'm so pissed. I'm so pissed that guy's the owner of the Jets. Matthew Stafford, he's got that wife of his. She's a handful.
Kelly.
He wants no part of his wife's new TikTok. Oh, boy, Kelly Stafford's got TikTok? Uh-oh. All right, what is this? I didn't even see this. Let's check this out.
Good news is...
Great.
Put your hand down.
What?
I'm not pregnant.
Great.
It's good news, right?
Yeah, I didn't think you were.
The bad news is starting a TikTok. And you... Hey! And you will be featured on it.
No, I'm not. You do you.
Okay, love you.
Good luck with Gen Zers.
I think he handled that well. He didn't engage. He didn't belittle or tell her not to do it. Sometimes, and this is for all you people that, like Justin, you're engaged now, and we have a lot of younger listeners in our 18 to 34 demographic. Sometimes to de-escalate, you just walk away. And that's what Matt did there, and I respect him for it.
He did.
Mark, how about you?
I agree. I thought he handled it in a very Matthew Stafford way, which I say that in the most positive light. Kelly Stafford, and you always got to be, she stopped doing her podcast, but you got to be careful if you mention her because she's got someone somewhere heat seeking any negativity and then calls that person out on like the next show with her gal for a while. And I just say it must be annoying to be, married to or engaged to a podcaster and a content creator. But then it's kind of like, that's us. But I ain't starting to TikToks and sticking, married quarterbacks.
Your social media is quite a wild ride over the years. So, yeah, I feel like there is a connection data point here. The old cess dog.
He must really love her. He must really love her. Because it's so, like, over the years, it's been so much. It's like he's always had to answer questions like, hey, what's this conspiracy I'm hearing about that you talked about? Like, do I have to respond to this? Hey, what's this tweet you liked? Hey, what's this? Do I got to talk about Colin Kaepernick now? Is that what's happening just because you decided to tweet? Like, that's just so, it's like for a decade, it's just been so much. It must be a wonderful connection that they have.
What it is? You know what it is? It's everything is kind of a twist on the same question. Hey, what's going on with that wife of yours?
That's the core curiosity.
All right, let's take a break. When we get back, we will offer up some fun-ass trades. Fat, baby. Stay right there. Today's episode is brought to you by Fabletics. If you live in activewear like I do, you know how fast it adds up. One pair of leggings can cost as much as a whole outfit, unless you shop at Fabletics. Their stuff feels super high-end, performs like the expensive brands, but costs way less. When I joined as a Fabletics VIP, that's right, VIP, baby, I got 80% off of everything, which felt wild. And after that, it's about $60 a month, unless I skip. That fee gives me a credit I can use toward a full outfit or bundle worth up to $100. Every month they send me an email. I decide if I want to use my credit or skip. I've even used mine to grab something for my wife. The quality is next level. The no-roll waistband leggings and hoodie are soft, breathable, and actually keep their shape. And I love that Fabletics is carbon neutral and uses recycled fabrics for more than half of their materials.
Yeah, I think that's very nice that you gift your wife. Honestly, once you try Fabletics, you're going to get it. Okay, the quality, the comfort, the value. Treat yourself to gear that looks good, feels good, and doesn't break the bank with Fabletics. Go to fabletics.com/HTC and sign up as a VIP and get 80% off everything. That's fabletics.com/HTC to sign up as a VIP and get 80% off everything. That's fabletics.com/HTC.
All right, we are back. Arif Hasan joining us. I got one that I think is right up Arif Boulevard.
Oh, okay. He has right a boulevard too?
Like Arif, who, I don't know, just picturing it, he lives in a bucolic neighborhood in like a leafy suburb, cul-de-sac, a big gilded house on the hill.
You nailed it. That's exactly my vibe.
Hassan Manor. There's a moat with alligators.
The only alligators in Minnesota.
That's where you put the second
moat.
hottest man from the state, though.
Exactly. The moat is to keep all the women away from Arif. That's what it's after Prince died. It was like, shit, I got to amp up my security.
Right, I got to
moved up
lock
the
in.
depth
I can't
chart.
be distracted. Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, we're all going to offer up trades that we find to be compelling, interesting, and let's get into it. I'll do mine first because, yes, you are as knowledgeable of the Minnesota Vikings as anyone, and I think the Vikings QB situation has reached boondoggle territory. Nincompoop and boondoggle, same show. Nailed it.
Strong language.
Daniel Jones, Sam Darnold, MVP candidates elsewhere. Aaron Rodgers is in first place. And then, of course, former first-round pick J.J. McCarthy. He's now missed 21 of his 23 pro games. And right now he's living adjacent to Henry Hill's old place in witness protection. And then there's some dude named Max Brosmer. Brosmer? Max Brosmer. He's one rolled ankle away from taking live snaps in an NFL primetime game that we need to pay Jeff Bezos to watch. This is America. And yes, the guy named Max Brosmer looks exactly what you would guess Max Brosmer would look like. This man has seen the Chainsmokers perform in Vegas more times than you can possibly imagine.
That's just short Paxton Lynch, man. It's fine.
And no, Justin. No. Right there, Justin. No, Justin. I do not care that during a Titans preseason telecast, they had nice things to say about him in August. Those are not real announcers. They are moonlighting weathermen and City Hall reporters.
Okay. Yeah, never mind.
Which takes me to my trade idea.
Rat. In that photo, he just looks like he's probably, I don't know, he's a bit of a skater boy. You've seen him in person, maybe.
One rolled ankle away from primetime action.
It's less skater boy vibes and more. I think actually it was. I think Dan nailed it. Right. It's definitely like Chainsmokers post hipster. Right. Like he had a previous life as a hipster. Right. But has decided to cash in on the trust fund finally, but hasn't really let go of the aesthetic.
Yeah. It's like if Timothy Chalamet grew up on the Upper East Side instead of the apartment complex downtown in New York. Maybe there's a disconnect there. I don't know. Anyway, so takes me to my trade idea. I am particularly invested in this because, one, I bang the over on Minnesota in our wins losses thing. I think it was 9.5. So I got to get to 10, I think.
You smashed that over.
And I have as you know, Mark, a Michael Jordan-like need to win at all times. So I got to get that. All right. So that
we
matters.
are aware.
But longtime listeners of this show also know that I've long had a soft spot for Vikings football. I love the romantic tragedy of it all. And the Vikings to me are like the Jets. And if the Jets weren't run by an ape dressed as a Nepo baby oligarch costume purchased at Spirit Halloween. So with that said, Geno Smith. Smith.
Oh, boy.
Admit it. Come on. You could picture Geno Smith in a Vikings uniform. You can picture it.
Okay, so here's the thing. Geno Smith is a deep ball genius, right? Like he loves those deep shots. Kevin O'Connell loves those deep shots. He lives on it. Sam Darnold led the league last year in explosives, right?
Yes. Geno Smith has been a bad quarterback this year, but Geno Smith is not a bad quarterback. And I'm not like the biggest Geno fan. I'm far from it. But Geno Smith, what you're seeing this year, I think, is a good-ish quarterback trapped on a bad, terrible team. And, I looked at his contract. He's got 1 year of guaranteed money after this year on the extension he signed with the Raiders after his trade from the Seahawks. And after watching Joe Flacco and other veterans thrive in unfamiliar circumstances, I have no doubt that Geno Smith, another, he's a big-time competitor too. I like it. I feel like he's been humbled. He would love a reset in this situation. He could be similarly effective in a KOC offense with Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson, Aaron Jones coming back. This is a wide-open season, Arif, and don't throw it away waiting for that McCarthy lottery ticket to cash. Be bold, and mighty forces will come to your aid.
I'm really glad that you proposed this because it makes my trade feel a lot more realistic.
Wait, tell me why, honestly, tell me why it's unrealistic. Like, tell me why.
The Vikings are just not going to give up on McCarthy, even if just for the season. And I know there's only 1 year left on Geno Smith's contract, so it's not giving up, but it would be enough to feel like it. And also the Vikings don't, like, obviously they'll trade away assets for players. They do it all the time. They did it for Hawkinson, right? But I just don't think that they'd want to give up the kind of capital that it would take to acquire a quarterback when they're confident, rightly or wrongly, in McCarthy. Like, genuinely, I think that they're very, very confident in McCarthy.
Let me put it this way. First of all, I don't know capital-wise. Now, you'd be taking on money. You could tell me you know more about their cap than I do, but I know right now they don't have a lot tied up at the quarterback position, if I'm not mistaken.
But they don't have a lot of cap, especially for 26, 26.
And I believe his guaranteed money goes down to 18.5 next year. I guess you would take on a prorated amount, whatever. But my point being is I don't think you're giving up on JJ McCarthy so much as you're not giving up on this season. And McCarthy, who has this lingering ankle injury, now he's going to miss his 5th straight start on Thursday. That is something also that can easily be aggravated. And let's face it, this season is over if McCarthy doesn't come back and play well or gets injured, because Carson Wentz stinks. And maybe Brosmer is going to be okay, but I don't think he will be either. So, Mark, I understand why the reasons you wouldn't do it. But if you had the opportunity and you picked up the phone and the Raiders just wanted to unload the guy for a day 3 pick or something, would you do it?
The reason it makes sense to me, and I can see where you're coming from, is that taking on Geno Smith would be urgency around what's in front of you right here and now. Because my question for Arif, and you just kind of answered it a little bit before, that they do have confidence in McCarthy. I feel like some of the wordplay we're getting over the past couple of weeks around JJ McCarthy has led me to ask like the deeper question of, do they know this isn't the guy? If that's not the case, then I don't think you make the move. But if there's creeping doubt, like KOC, who's now coached like 17 quarterbacks in 4 seasons, it feels like, you do think you could get a much different version of Geno Smith this season right now if you want to go win this division. But you are changing the core statements and philosophy around the coach, the coaching staff, in a massive way if you move on from JJ McCarthy. I think it's a very complex message to send.
Not moving on from him. Not moving on. He's a very young man. He's only in the 2nd year of his rookie deal.
It definitely feels like moving on. That's the thing. Like, I understand.
But if he's healthy in 2 weeks,
optics are overrated. Win. Go win the NFC. It's wide open. Do it. Come on, Reef. How long's it been? How long's it been since the Vikings were in the Super Bowl?
Oh, okay. You can't.
Don't give up on this season.
That's emotional manipulation, man. You can't be doing that.
Okay. I tried. Vikings fans out there.
No, I think the real, like, the most significant thing, aside from, so O'Connell's been very public about his, like, you can't fail young quarterbacks, you got to believe in them, and that's, like, I think part of it. So the optics are important to McConnell or O'Connell, but I think the other thing is that the cap space, I think, is probably not going to work out. They've got negative 37 next year.
Okay, well, that seems like a problem, but there's cap nerds to figure that stuff out for me. Okay,
that's true. Also, yeah,
that's like me. I'm not going to worry about cholesterol. I'll just take Lipitor. It's like one of those things. All right, Mark, you're up.
Okay, because you raised a good question, Dan. Like, are the Vikings buyers at certain positions? And you've got to buy into who the real sellers are out there. And I prayed to God for God to remove the Cleveland Browns from earth. God did not answer my prayer, like many other prayers. But I think the Browns are in a position to slowly remove themselves from any relevant place on the earth. And I think we're going to see one of the biggest sellers around the trade deadline that we've seen from one team in a long, long time. And it starts right here. I've mentioned it before that you want to talk about a nightmare cap scenario. They are walking into the pit of hell next season and partially the one after. And so you're hearing names pop up, and it's people that have been very important players for this team, but are not part of the future. If the Browns want to survive financially, I think you send David Njoku, 29 years old, contract very manageable, and Wyatt Teller to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for draft picks. I think in turn, you fairly would get, I'd say, a third round pick. Because Dan, we always like to not over promote what the pick will be. I think it's maybe a third and some version of a fifth. And you get the money off the books. And you've got Harold Fannin, who is the number one receiver on this team right now. They're a rookie tight end. He leads the team in receptions. Wyatt Teller is not long for the Browns from what you're hearing. He was part of what they were doing during the Nick Chubb era. I think they think they can move on. The Bucs have a guard in Luke Haggard who's not been performing well. And you want to talk about a team that's like, we are compromised by injury, but we also view ourselves as a team that can get to the NFC title game. So the Bucs, and they've got a great front office that can figure this out. The Bucs are buyers. The Browns are going to sell on a bunch of other players, I think, too. They already gave away the best quarterback they have. They've telecast this for weeks on end. And I think it's going to be an earthquake level roster change in Cleveland. And I'm sending these guys to Baker and the Bucs.
Yeah, I like that. I like the wish casting here for you too, Mark. Like, you're just gonna you're gonna just like take care of two things at once here. You're gonna clear out your cap hell for your favorite team. You're gonna send it all to Baker, your pet team in the NFC, and try to get them a Super Bowl title. Everyone wins. That's good.
Everyone wins.
Yeah. Arif,
yeah, I don't have much to add. This is great. The Bucs are so injured at so many positions, and they're poised to capture a lot of equity in the playoffs and like grab a bunch of wins, but they just don't have the receivers anymore because of all these injuries. That's awesome. I love that.
What was it again? It was Teller and what?
David Njoku.
Yeah.
And boy. Wyatt Teller. Two very productive players. You can get a couple more years out of them if you want to patch up.
Are you going to be cool with Baker Mayfield connecting with David Njoku to send the Bucs to the Super Bowl? Like,
I just asked God to remove this team from.
I know, but nobody believes that. Like, Marc Sessler at like 4 a.m. was sending Instagrams about how amazing this, like, the next Clay Matthews or whatever the like. You love that team. You don't want them to be removed. Who are you kidding with all this Brown stuff all the time, Mark?
I do think
you're up in the middle of the night.
They've got a great rookie class, and that was after our show. That was minutes after our show, but like I think they're focused on rebuilding from the ground up, and you got to make some tough decisions to do that.
All right,
and this
very
would be
true, Mark. Very true. All right, let's see what happens. All right, you're up, Arif.
All right, so I agree that the Raiders are sellers, right? Like I agreed, and especially, I think that Spytek is a great GM, but he wants to kind of make the roster his own. I think that Pete Carroll is a weird enough guy to make a bunch of weird moves, and I don't know if the Giants are good, but I know the vibes are immaculate, and anything to kind of keep that train rolling, right? Sounds fun to me. So to me, the Raiders are trading Brock Bowers.
Whoa.
Trading Brock Bowers to the Giants for Theo Johnson and the fourth. Theo Johnson in a second. What, fourth? What am I talking about? Theo Johnson was drafted in the fourth. Theo Johnson and a second for Brock Bowers.
Whoa.
Brock Bowers is a fantastic player. He would be a cornerstone individual for the Raiders going forward, obviously, right? But knowing that the Raiders are miserable and knowing that Brock Bowers is secretly 35 years old, there's just not much time left for him. and so you need to send another fun white boy to the Giants to kind of let that hype train keep rolling. Let the Giants figure out if Jackson Dart is actually good. Let them figure out if Cam Scadaboo is actually good. And because Theo Johnson's not doing it for them, right? He's got the lowest depth of target on the team. He's got less than 1 yard per route run. He's not a very good run blocking tight end, right? if you can have a seam stretcher, especially, when you've got this like Neighbors injury you're worried about, right? If you can have another seam stretcher, another receiver that can work with Dart, that's going to work for them. Obviously, this is a great trade for the Giants, but the Raiders, I think, just need as much capital as they can get to move around in the draft and not just grab a quarterback, but to grab multiple players. Because I think the issue with the Raiders, despite how poor the receiving, situation has been for them, the issue for them has been all of these other pieces that people tend to neglect. The offensive line, linebackers, just everywhere, things have just been a problem for them. And they need to have as many pieces as possible going forward because I don't think that with the current assets they have, that they'll ever be able to utilize or maximize Brock Bowers. Otherwise, it's just going to be a Max Crosby situation where you've got this super talented guy doing nothing forever.
Wait, so per this exercise, days into November, they have neither Brock Bowers or Geno Smith. That would be be pretty huge.
I mean, I feel like Raiders fans would be probably fine with the Geno Smith trade at this point, but I feel like they would be riot
at my trade. Yeah, no,
they would riot. I mean, here's the thing. I disagree with first the value here because Bowers.
You think he's worth more than a second and a tight end?
I think Brock Bowers had arguably the greatest rookie season ever for a tight end last year. That man had 112 catches for 1,200 yards and 5 touchdowns. And this year, obviously, he's lost his shine because he's been battling this knee injury. And Tyler Warren in Indianapolis has kind of taken on the mantle as like the tight end that everybody wants. But Bowers is a potential, like to me, Bowers is a building block. Like if I'm looking at the Raiders, like, yeah, we got to kind of tear this thing down to the studs. I'd be way more if I were the Raiders and Spytek and Tom Brady and whoever else, Mark Davis, be saying like, hey, we should have a very hard Max Crosby conversation. I feel like you keep the young guy that has had a historical
totally
start to his career. Unless somebody's going to give you multiple first-round picks or our first-round pick.
Multiple.
Like, why would I?
That's the thing. It's just like tight ends just don't get traded for very much, right? Like when the Vikings traded for T.J. Hawkinson, right? It was multiple pick swaps, but it was ultimately closer to a bottom of the second type pick.
Right, but with all due respect to T.J. Hawkinson, I know he was drafted in the first round, but he never produced at the level that Bowers did in his first season in the league.
Yeah,
like,
not with the Lions. No, I agree, but I genuinely think that tight ends just don't get very much value in the trade market. I genuinely just don't think that you're ever really going to get. Wow. And I know that Brock Bowers is an outstanding player, right? That's part of the point. But I just don't think that you get first round picks for these kinds of guys, especially because you're not getting the full 5 years of control, right? Now that you're trading him partway through this year. He's an outstanding player, but I think that an outstanding player gets you 1,000 yards at tight end, which is great. An outstanding player at receiver gets you like 1,700 yards some years. It is a completely different set of expectations, and tight ends just aren't valued as much by the league, even if you draft them in the first round.
Put it this way.
I do think the value you mentioned would get the Raiders lacerated from a optics standpoint.
Right. It would be similar to the Micah Parsons trade, but at least the Cowboys got first round picks in that deal. Put it this way, if Joe Shane was able to pull this trade off in the first week of November, he could run for mayor and win in New York City.
Yeah, they want the Hard Knocks cameras back there at that point.
He would absolutely be heralded as a genius and a hero. And all my Giants fans friends would that's the other reason I don't want this trade to happen. If they ever landed like a big time young player like that to pair with their boy Dart and Scadaboo, like they would be talking about a dynasty starting this year for the New York Giants.
I'm still not confident that Dart and Scadaboo are actually good. I just have fun watching.
They are. Yeah, the Giants fans have already ticketed them to be giving each other's induction speeches in Ken. All right, one more spicy. That was a spicy one there, Arif. I like it. Here we go, Gravy. Give us one.
All right. Mine, I put a lot of thought and research into this one, and I think it would be a very fun-ass trade, which is the whole point of this exercise.
Good
San Francisco 49ers.
Okay, let's get into it. Go ahead.
Very banged up team, but winning games, probably have their sights set on a Super Bowl, even with all the injuries they've dealt with. But they need more playmakers on that offense. It can't be all Christian McCaffrey. Ricky Pearsall's been in and out of the lineup all year. We still don't know when or if Brandon Ayuk is returning. Kittle just came back but had a 0-catch game, although he was super effective as a run blocker in that one. let's add another playmaker to this offense, a team that has historically made mid-season trades for big-time playmakers like Christian McCaffrey. How about they send a second-rounder and a fourth-rounder in 2026 to the Saints for wide receiver Chris Olave? Why would the Saints part ways with a young, productive receiver? Well, he's had some concussion and injury issues of his own, which, he'd fit right into that San Francisco locker room, I guess. They're $19 million. They're poised to be $19 million over the cap for 2026. Again, customary Saints offseason trope. They are over the cap and have to cut people or restructure contracts, which doesn't really help you because all that does is kick the can down the road and puts you in the same position the following year. They picked up Chris Olave's fifth-year option, which means he's on the books for a fully guaranteed $15 million. And when it comes to the Saints cap situation, their top 10 highest cap hits for 2026 are all guys who have either as much or higher dead cap as their cap hit, which means they can't really cut them or make money appear there unless they restructure, which again just kicks it down the road. So how about you just trade Chris Olave? You get $15 million off the books. You start to accelerate your rebuild a little bit. You get some draft picks. The Saints traded for a receiver, Devon Vele, in the offseason. This guy's played 22% of the snaps. He has one target this season. Free up some snaps for him to come into the lineup. You just parted with capital to bring him to your roster. So you get Chris Olave out of there, get him able to play on a good offense with a good quarterback and see how good he can be, because I think he could be really good with that 49ers team. And let's have a fun-ass San Francisco trade here.
It's a fun trade. But I think from the standpoint of like what could fracture like a new young coaching staff in a front office that's always been a little bit extra is taking a really proven weapon away from Ellen Moore. Like, I just don't think that's it seems like a tough message to send to your own team.
Ellen Moore.
You got to make some tough decisions, because that is coming home to roost, that some of that cap space.
Ellen Moore.
In theory, I feel like we've been saying that for 5 years.
Right. And it's not really the Saints' way or Mickey Loomis's way to be a seller, but at a certain point, maybe just accept the fact that you're going to have to go through a real rebuild, and you can't just keep trying to reload and push this situation down the line every single year.
This has been talked about around the Saints. In fact, Chris Olave even spoke about it after their latest loss to the Bears. He said this. What did he say? The team and the Saints have been in discussions about a potential extension for several months, but the club has also been in contact with him about the situation right now. That's all I'm confident about. Clear communication. I see what's going on. We're on the same page. So, I mean, that leaves the door open, Arif, for something that could happen. I would put this similarly under the Brock Bowers category, though, that like the Saints are building for tomorrow. Like a 25-year-old player with number one wide receiver skill set is somebody that I would keep in my building and make a building block, unless you really bowled me over. And I don't think a second and fourth would do it for me. I don't know about you. What do you think?
I mean, you have to extend them soon, right? So it is a little bit different, and like they don't have the facilities for that. He's an exciting player. The San Francisco 49ers definitely need exciting players. Obviously, you've got the locker room camaraderie of all the injuries that you can just bond over. But I am a little curious.
No ping pong table necessary. Let's just talk about how much our knees hurt.
Yeah. Right. I'm a little curious. I don't think this makes it a bad idea. It's just like an interesting note is that, Olave is really well positioned to be a deep ball threat, right? He's at his best when he's got the ability to do that. Over the last 2 years, his depth of target has reduced drastically, and I think it's not a coincidence that his production has reduced drastically, even on a per game or per route basis, when you account for all the injuries. And I don't know that like Mac Jones and Brock Purdy are slinging it deep all that often. Purdy more than Jones for sure, but they're intermediate throwers, short throwers when like the game is getting tough and they just kind of have to get some easy completions. And Olave is not completely there, but I still, despite that slight problem, it's not even a problem that much, I like it a lot. I just think having McCaffrey to punish people for taking guys out of the box, having Olave to punish people for putting guys back in the box, that's fun.
All right, good stuff. So Geno to the Vikings, Bowers to the Giants, Teller and Njoku to the Bucks, Olave to the Niners. Let's see if any of that shit happens. Would be cool. It'd be fun. Those would be fun-ass trades.
Once the Bowers thing happened, my pricing be completely off.
That would be wild. Yeah, the Giants fans would be so annoying. Oh, my God. All right.
Yes, they would.
You've done it again. Arif Hasan, you've said it all. Got anything to plug before we say goodbye?
Yeah, Wide Left Football. I got a bunch of pieces coming out. Just wrote a piece on AI in football. So it's a little it's Sumer Sports, really Sumer Brain. I wrote a big piece about that. Also, like a recap on just the Vikings quarterback situation, maybe is the most generous word I can use there, as well as, game recaps and stuff like that, all kinds of stuff. So
beautiful.
Check that out,
Make sure you check it out. Arif Hasan's Wide Left. Thank you, buddy, and we'll see you down the road.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Top 10 hottest guys in Minnesota. Arif Hasan, baby. All right, we'll be right back with a game preview. Thursday Night Football. Man, Mark, I used to think paying too much for wireless was just part of life. You pick a provider, you sign a contract, and you cross your fingers every month hoping your bill isn't outrageous. And then I found Mint Mobile. If you're still overpaying for wireless, it's time to say yes to saying no.
Absolutely. Mint says no to contracts, no to overages, no to hidden fees, no BS, and somehow I'm getting premium wireless for just $15 a month. Mint plans include high-speed data and unlimited talk and text on the nation's largest 5G networks. I've been using it, Dan, and honestly, the coverage has been every bit as strong as my old provider, just without the sticker shock when the bill arrives. And switching was easy. I kept my phone, my number, and all my contacts.
You're telling me, Mark, in that concrete jungle of Hollywood with all the skyscrapers and the mountains and the earthquakes, perfect reception.
Better.
Wow. Ready to say yes to saying no? Make the switch at mintmobile.com/heed the call. That's mintmobile.com/heed the call.
Upfront payment of $45 required, equivalent to $15 a month. Limited time new customer offer for first 3 months only. Speeds may slow above 35 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Taxes and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details.
All right, we are back. Great appearance by our buddy Arif Hasan. And now let's talk a little Thursday Night Football to end the show today. And it is the Minnesota Vikings in Inglewood, California, SoFi Stadium to face the Los Angeles Chargers, two teams that have a lot of issues with injuries. Of course, this was supposed to be, Ceci, the showdown between J.J. McCarthy and his old Michigan head coach, Jim Harbaugh. They won a title 2 years ago. Instead, it's more Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz in prime time is like a special type of NFL fan purgatory. I can't even imagine what it would be like when it's actually your player, but like just watching it, there's going to be a lot of misthrows, a lot of frustrating moments, and the Chargers now, a team that could use a break, to be quite honest, and I've lost 3 of the past 4. Catch Wentz instead of McCarthy. I don't know if that helps them or hurts them, but that's what we're getting in this one.
It does help. They were absolutely blown away by the Colts on defense last week, and some of the Jesse Minter fervor dies down when you watch what happened there. And it's like, Derwin James, arguably their second best player, if not first best player on the team, basically said we played like shit. We looked like trash. And it looked that way. They've got to clean that up. If there's hope, I think we've gotten a little bit of a different Justin Herbert. It may be even neck up because of the injuries along the offensive line, but it sounds like Joe Alt is going to return. That is absolutely huge for Justin Herbert. Trey Pipkins might play as well. Like, they just need to get healthier. You don't have Omarion Hampton. So you're still struggling, but even protecting Herbert better and putting him in a place of more safety where he can do what he does well is a different Chargers offense.
Yeah, I like the Chargers in this game, but yeah, the Herbert side of things and his ability to stay clean and upright continues to be a risk. Brian Flores, who's probably not feeling too great after Jalen Hurts really lit them up in the passing game last week in that loss, but he blitzes. That's what the DC of the Vikings does historically. Yep. They have the second highest blitz rate in the NFL. No quarterback in the NFL has been blitzed more than Justin Herbert, as teams have looked to take advantage of that beleaguered offensive line. So that feels like a situation where, man, if the Chargers the Chargers to win this game, it's going to be the same thing. Like their quarterback is going to have to be special and handle what's going to be a very uncomfortable 3.5 hours. I think they do it because I'm just that down on Wentz and Carson Wentz on the road. None of that. I don't like any of that. And as much as I have questions about J.J. McCarthy, to the point that I'm proposing a trade about bringing a veteran in to essentially take the reins for the rest of the season, I'd love to see him and see how this offense looks once he gets his legs under him. But the Vikings just aren't there. They can't get this kid back in the lineup. So we'll have to wait and see. So, yeah, I think I'm a little – I feel like I've watched a lot of these Wentz starts in real time too. So I have Wentz exhaustion that in 2025 I'm still watching this guy over – it's like very clearly this guy shouldn't be a QB1 for any team, and yet he's on this like nomadic journey from the league where he just keeps falling into NFL starting stints, and we're just like trapped in a loop right now, and I can't imagine how Vikings fans feel.
He is a bit of an energy suck for the viewer, depending on your point of view, but we are at least through the what was a very odd fortnight, roughly time-wise, and through the looking glass of people coming out of the woodwork to say that, I don't know, with this Carson Wentz, the sky's the limit. Like, what quarterback were you watching all those years? And there was this sort of bravado around the fact that he was going to ride in and just save the day. And we're beyond that being a realistic talking point, which is helpful.
All right, so that is Thursday Night Football, and make sure you check that out if you want it. If you want, you don't actually have to. But check out our show recapping Thursday Night Football, as well as the Week 8 preview coming up tomorrow evening. All right, that's it for the End Around Wednesday show. We'll be back tomorrow with Connor Orr. Check out patreon.com/heedthecall. Support the brand and get some fun, different type stuff over there. And have a great rest of your hump day, everybody. Till next time, do what you must. Heed the call.
What? Hump day.